Okay, uh, today I'm going for a walk and a talk, and it might be a bit ranty, the walk talk, and it might be really bad video and bad sound, or it might turn out all right. I'm not sure. Just gonna walk around my property, our property, and talk about I just want, even though it sounds like it's all about me, it's not about me at all. It's about truth. It really is about truth. I'm not asking for anything from anyone, have I? I've never asked for any money. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I've asked for anything or that I expect anything. I don't even really care. I don't care at all for the fame. But again, I'm completely sincere when I say this, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that I know everything. I understand all of it. I have the answers to all of the great questions. I just fucking do. I mean, I'm as surprised as anyone else, but it has fallen into my lap, I guess. I've cracked the code or whatever the fuck it is, and I know here are the things that I know or that I have resolved. Hey, that's a cool shot. They call it the castle. And so yeah, there's tile, a lot, like a pallet, like pallets left of tile left over. And we were thinking, and it's a lot of it's square, but a lot of it's looks like rock, or it looks like rocks. So we were thinking maybe we would use that extra tile and basically tile their interior floor tiles. I don't know if a guy can do that, but to make it look like that's made of stone, we'd put the tiles on the outside of it, so then we could really call it the castle. And then the previous owner had the idea and made the brackets and the things to hang, and they got the operation going. Cost them $6,000 or something to make a walkway at the top, because on the other side there's a sliding door, like a big patio door kind of thing, so we could access it and then just have a walkway hanging off the top. That'd be cool. Where was I? Oh yeah, I know everything. And the thing is that these things that I know are really important, because it is the way, the only way, the quickest way, and really the only way to end suffering. Like, just end it, no matter where you are, in what circumstances you happen to be in. This is the way to your enlightenment, and enlightenment is the end of suffering. And there's going to be a lot of suffering coming up here, like a lot of suffering. So the things that I know, I know the answer to, is math discovered or invented? I know that. I have now. This is what I would like people the dozens of people, dozens probably now, of academics and people who talk about these things and have things to say about these things. I've contacted a lot of them saying this, giving them the argument, like presenting to them the argument. And to me and to 5 other people, there's like half a dozen non-conceptualists on the planet, but we all get it. And that's pretty profound. When you get it, you get everything, and that's pretty cool. So I know I have a very convincing argument. Now, no disrespect, but it's not a Terrence Howard type of an argument. Sorry, but I mean, it was a lot of woo-woo, and it's just like, well, this thing is really cool, and it's connected really close to these things, so therefore it's the meaning of existence. It's like, well, the thing with my theories and my arguments is, to me, they're just reasonable. They're just like, you don't have to be learned. You don't have to have a PhD in physics or mathematics to understand it. They're just reasonable arguments. It's like, well, let's look at this. Okay, now if you agree that it's like this, then that, and I just keep doing that. And then at the end, if you've agreed with all of those things and haven't seen a flaw in my reasoning, then at least you've got to admit that it's possible, that what I'm saying is at least fucking possible, that it's not impossible, right? This is what I'm asking from people. It's not that much, but instead I get ignored. Just nothing, just ignored. It's like, I've even said, well, show me where my reasoning is wrong. Like, I'm saying that this is that important, and it's obvious that I'm fucking serious. Like, I'm saying, like, hey man, here's the answer to this question that everyone's been talking about for fucking forever. You'd think they'd be interested, and you'd think that my argument at least is is intriguing and convincing enough for them to have a fucking discussion with me about it. But apparently it's not even worthy of a discussion. It's not even worthy of a fucking response, let alone, oh my God, this is a resolution to the question, is mathematics discovered or invented? It is. It's a reasonable argument, and therefore it is a resolution to that problem. Because in my world, it's resolved. I've resolved it. It's resolved. I've shown what math is. And if there's a flaw in my reasoning, then please, someone tell me. But until then, I'm going to keep making videos, and the same fucking people are not going to watch them. Oh yeah, what else? Why is there something rather than nothing, and how does something come from nothing? I've resolved that too. I've resolved both of those by proving, basically, like proving, in my world it's a proof, that there's no such thing as nothing. Nothing is an error. And I fix the error and everything. I'm not going to go into that now, but my other videos, I lay it out pretty succinctly. So what the fuck, you guys? Like, why am I being ignored by everyone? No one, like, and the ones that I've given it to and have responded, well, they don't really get it. They read it, but I mean, I don't understand. It's like, one of us has to be fucking delusional, because to me it's almost self-evident, these arguments. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's not like, and here's another thing that I'd like to make a distinction about this and a Terrence Howard type of situation, is that my theory ends up, as a result of the perspective of my theory, it ends up resolving all these things. They're not just coincidences. Like it's like, but Terrence, he and I do that, and I've done that, but I can recognize when I'm doing it and when other people are doing it. It's just they find a lot of similarities and coincidences, and then they just say, well, this is the answer then, because this is just like this, so this must be the answer. And even mathematics and physics are doing that, so like, who can blame them? It's just, you have to trust your own judgment and your own reasoning. You can't, this will not fit so the analogy that I made is that so when I'm looking for something, I will have a mental image of it in my mind, right? In my mind's eye, I've got an image of what I'm looking for, and I superimpose that image over top of the objects that I'm looking at. It's almost like a Terminator thing, beep, 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 beep. And if I'll be looking so intently for that thing that I'm very focused on that image, and that makes it very rigid. So then I've done this. I can look directly at what I'm looking for, but if it's in a different packaging, right, or if it's in a little different shape than I imagined it is, then I will not see it, even though I look directly at it. And I believe that's what's happening here, because I'm trying to figure out why people can't see what I see as clearly as I see this lake. It'd be like me standing here talking about the lake, and the person be like, what lake, man? It's that obvious to me, right? So this is why I keep making videos trying to understand how it is that these supposedly intelligent people that talk about symmetry and beauty and elegance and simplicity, they give that lip service, but when it's real, like when it is that, like to such a degree as my theory is, all that was just lip service. It's like, oh, well, it can't be that simple, and by the way, I have to be involved in it, right? So it's like how can you get more elegant and simple and symmetry and than the fundamental model of reality, right? Symmetrical. It's you can't. It's like how you can't. It's the state of superposition. Like, oh, anyway. Yeah. So this is kind of like where I live, eh? It's I don't own the beach though. Like I just own up until the road. So yeah, I don't know how to this is one of those problems that I can't figure out. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's just gonna take someone that's probably not even in academia, because I don't think I think that academics are so brainwashed and programmed, and it's such an echo chamber that it's like academia is the most deluded institution there is. And it only makes sense because my theory, and maybe this is why academics are not too keen on it, is that, well, I have, you can quote me as saying that I've said that academia is the religion that worships the voice in the head, and then I've also said that the voice in the head is Satan. Metaphorically speaking, like, yeah, so look, like, those are the potatoes. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, everything grows. Like, look at the life around here is. See, this is what, now that I live in nature, away from people, I recognize more than ever how unnatural humanity is. We are not part of nature anymore. So this whole, I built that whole really, really long. I've got 8,000 square feet of garden. And we are gonna grow the fuck out of some food. We're gonna grow a lot of food. Yeah, so this is like someone just like if one of these YouTubers would just start talking to me, like just start asking me some of these questions and allow me, like if there was someone that interviewed me that was on my side, that was helping me explain it rather than trying to tear it down and divert attention and all the games that interviewers will play when they are there to destroy what you're trying to talk about. But all I want is a chance to explain my theory. But here's the thing is, the rules of engagement are that it has to stay within the reasoning, right? That's what makes it a theory, I think, is that you have to follow my line of reasoning. That's the thing. You can't just like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? Right? I'm not really looking for a debate because yours is wrong. I'm not debating whose is right and whose is wrong. Yours is wrong. I want I want someone who's objective to listen to the statements, and if they're reasonable, then we move from one statement to the other. Like very simple, if it makes sense, right? Like, I'm just saying that each person should be their own judge on what makes sense, right? Not based on what someone else has taught you or what you've learned or in relation to some other system, but just on the fucking statements made. Like, just the reasoning of the theory, of the argument presented to you. That's it. That's all I ask. And then at the end of it, you can, or as it goes along, please show me where you can't follow anymore. You can't follow the reasoning anymore, or just whatever. But I'd like I don't want a debate. I want someone to reasonably analyze this as it is, just the statements, just the theory as it is, not compared to anything else, not, right? Just, are these reasonable statements? And if they are, then at the end, we've got something. And this something is really, 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 it's the biggest thing ever. It really is. And I think another, that's the barn. We call it the barn for obvious reasons. And that is a chicken coop that does no longer, that we will get operating again. That's a lot of freaking chickens. Here's the shop. Oh fuck, what was I saying? It's probably pretty good. Oh. Oh yeah, just, and this is why I believe this is really a theory for the people, by the people, for the people. It's not for academics, because they will be looking at this, they will be reasoning through the lens of what they've been taught. That won't be what they think. They don't even know what they think anymore. They just think what they've been programmed to think. Like really, academia is, I don't believe that they can see this. Yeah, so there's the windsock. I have a windsock because I have a landing strip. How cool is that, eh? Someday, maybe Joe Rogan will land his private jet here, maybe. Well, someday a plane, I will charter a plane for some reason to land here, just because it's cool and I'm maybe trying to impress someone. Okay, so here, like, if a person has already just totally disregarded everything that has to do with religion or the word God, then you're already you will not be able to see this theory. You will not be able to see what it's so obviously pointing to you, because you've already just, no, well, it's relating to religion, so therefore it must be woo-woo of some kind, right? And yet I can point out, like, what could possibly be more woo-woo than the multiverse? Like, it's nonsense, right? The multiverse is nonsensical. And it's because physicists are trying to hold on to free will and non-locality at the same time, and it's not possible. So they're trying to tell us that the world, that human experience will actually change. They're adapting, they're telling us what the physical world is, so that they can have both, just to accommodate both free will and non-locality. Because the world is non-local, right? Sorry, particle physicists. The world is non-local. Everything occurs at the same time. Like, the entire universe is flashing on and off in a sequence, all at once, all at the same time, on and off. That's what's really happening. So there's no free will. There aren't even individual objects. Like, there aren't individuals. But this is the way, if you actually listen to what the fuck I'm saying and apply it to a theory, it explains everything. My theory explains everything. And it's superposition. This is what superposition is telling us. It's All right. So this is where we're going to put a rice pond. Wild rice. Yeah, baby. Yeah, it's gonna be perfect for wild rice. See, it's dry right now, but I will pump water. I've got a fire pump, water pump, and I can pump it the 200 meters from the lake, and I will, whenever it gets low, I can just pump more into it. Might take a day or two, I don't know, to get it to the level it needs to be. But that's the plan down the road. Right, so another obstacle for this to get through to people is simply the enormity of it. Right, like it really does. It destroys everything. It destroys everything. It shows everyone how they've been wrong the whole time. Everyone's been wrong. Humanity is wrong. All of humanity. Wrong is not the correct word. Fucked up. Humanity is fucked up. I don't know. That's the best way. Like, we refuse to admit that the technology that we are creating through mathematics, because mathematics isn't what mathematicians take it to be, the technology that science is creating is destroying all life on the planet, isn't it? It's going to. And anyone who doesn't believe that or can't see that it's going to end up, humanity, through technology that mathematics and science has created, is killing the host body. We are a cancer. And we're killing the host, Gaia, whatever you want to call it. We're killing all life on the planet. So I don't know how you could get more wrong than humanity. We are planet killers. We're planet killers. But we need to look at this honestly and objectively, is that we're not natural. There's something different at the core of what humans are, what makes us human. And that's obviously the voice in our head. That's just obviously what distinguishes us, the human object, right? If you're going to be a strict materialist, the human body is a physical object, just like all other physical objects, except that as far as we know, we're the only ones that are experiencing a voice from nowhere. A voice from nowhere, just blabbering away in our awareness. As far as we can tell, we're the only objects that have this subjective experience. That's what the subjective experience is. It's the fucking voice in your head, right? And that's obviously what makes us different than everything else that we know of in the universe. And why can't that be the source of our cancerous nature? Why can't we admit that we are a cancer that's destroying all life on Earth, and driving the human species extinct, and yeah, maybe all life on the planet? So why can't we admit that? Not only can't admit it, but try to leave the planet and expand? Really? Really? You want to be the Borg? Like that's what you want to be. You want to be the Borg. No, there's a reason. There's a reason why we're not allowed. We will not be allowed to leave the planet. The autoimmune system of the solar will shut us down before that happens, before we can leave the fucking, make it to another planet that has life on it, and fucking suck all the life off that thing too. So there's something really fundamentally wrong at the deepest level of what it means to be human. And that's the voice in the head. And this is why I believe it's so, because that's what humanity is, right? Like that's what makes us special, but we think we're special good, but we're special bad. And to be the bearer of this news is not favorable, right? You're not people's favorite person to talk to when you're laying down truth bombs like this, because these bombs destroy the ego. So the ego just tries to ignore it, and this is being ignored. This is in that whole, first they ignore you, then they make fun of you, and then they fight you, then you win. I've been made fun of as well on a philosophy forum. That was the worst, for being ridiculed and mocked and personally attacked on a philosophy forum. The greatest philosopher of all time. I'm just saying, I am. I don't give a fuck if I'm ever known that. It's just from my objective way of thinking about things and labeling things, I am. Because I've resolved all of the great philosophical questions that there is, basically, that there are. So I find it very ironic that a philosophy forum mocked and ridiculed and ignored the greatest philosopher of all time. It's sweet. It's very sweet. I love it. My theory of enlightenment, the final theory, it even contains, the answer contains irony. Like, I want my theory to be that theory. The theory that includes irony. Okay, there's no bears in here, right? Hey, no bears. I forgot my bear spray. Hope I don't get that on the tube. Okay, here's, whoa, it's getting really, oh, it's got stuff. There's my pond. It's awesome. It's not very deep, and yeah. And I felled some big trees here because I am getting a mill, and we're gonna build some shit, yo. And look at these bad boys. I had some lumber out of those You know, but I guess I just don't know what people were expecting the final theory to be. Like I don't like, this is bigger than anyone would ever even imagine that the final theory, even a final theory, would be. It's big. But this is the only, like, this is, if we do Occam, all right, this would explain basically why everything, why there has been no answer. Like, in my theory, I explain and I show why the language of thing nothing is insufficient. It lacks the nuance to describe reality. It describes reality from a materialist perspective, being the thing. The thing is fundamental reality in materialism. And I'm not going to go into it, but it's a Kobayashi Maru situation. That's the best way of describing what it is, because it's deeply rooted in our psyche because of the language. It's been programmed, materialism is programmed to be the only option. There's no non-thing, right? In the thing nothing model, there isn't a category for phenomena that are not physical, right? Like the voice in the head. The voice in the head is not physical. You can't touch it, smell it, taste it, hear it. Well, you can hear it, but not audibly, right? The source is not exterior. So it's not part of the sensual world. The voice in your head. There's a reason why we call it a voice in the head. Because it's not out here. Oh. So obviously there's a thing, mind. We have this subjective experience, and we call that mind. It is ludicrous. It's delusional to try to deny that. Why would you deny something that obviously exists? It's because they're not ready. Materialists have to be left out of the discussion now. This is part of the paper that I'm writing right now. So we need to drop the mind-body problem, because that is a problem that only exists from the perspective from a materialist perspective. That is a wildfire. Can you see? See where the clouds seem to go behind the trees there? That's way far away, but that's a wildfire. And that's smoke. Yeah, so it's very simple. The model just acknowledges that there's non-things that's a phenomena that exists that isn't detectable by physics. Physics is measurement, and measurement is by machines, and those machines have parameters. They have limitations. So it's ridiculous to assume this is what they do. This is what physicists are doing and telling us that it's cool. They're basically telling us that there cannot be anything that lies outside the detection parameters of their devices. Right? That's what physics, the world that physics, the realm that physics describes, is a result of data from detection instruments that have limitations. Every one of these instruments, devices, is constructed to, quote unquote, detect what they want, what they expect to be detected. But only in that very little range of perhaps infinity. And then they tell us that that's the real world. Like that, the measurements that these devices make, they're telling us that's all of it. There cannot possibly be any realm that lies outside the parameters of our detecting devices. Right? We have to look at things closer. We have to look at things closer. We have to break them down a little closer to what they really are. And what they really are is what I just fucking said. So they've made this assumption themselves and maybe haven't even noticed that they're assuming that there cannot even possibly exist a realm that is beyond the measuring capabilities of the devices that they make. Tell me where my reasoning, this is another one of these, like, if you're someone that should be interested in this and should pay attention to this, then you should fucking pay attention to this and actually mull it over. And if there's not a problem with my reasoning, then this is what happens, is that people cannot disseminate important information from fucking the Masked fucking Singer or the latest Fox News report. It just doesn't sink in. Like, they can agree, what I'm saying can make perfect logical sense to everyone that fucking listens to it, and no one will end up doing anything about it. Right? It could be the most profound fucking thing about physics ever, and just like, oh, well, materialism is ridiculous because obviously there can be stuff that is outside the measuring parameters of the devices that science makes. Right? Obviously. There should be. There is. But this is part of the brainwashing, and I can just see it. So, again, if what I just said makes sense, absolute sense, like you can't even really debate it, then this proves that physics is wrong at the best, right? That it is projecting a narrow little possible slice of what's possible that lies within the parameters of these measuring devices, of physical systems built specifically to detect what the physicists are expecting to detect. Now, I could go down the rabbit hole even more and say that the device itself is interacting with the consciousness of the physicist and completing the narrative of what they think they're looking for, what they expect to see, right? Cubism, right? Cubism. I believe this is what cubism is talking about, is that what I just fucking said. Right? So that would make sense, is that there isn't even an electron. There are no electrons. There isn't an electron out there somewhere, even even in the quantum realm, it literally is just a mathematical probability of that the machine is operating on, right? The detecting the machine isn't detecting something that's there. It is interacting with the consciousness of the physicist, of the observer, if you will, of the physicist, and creating a narrative to fulfill what that scientist is expecting to see. This is a better explanation, Amanda. I'm sorry, it is. I believe it is a better explanation for what's going on than that whole betting thing. That betting thing doesn't work for me. But or what you believe you see, like the Schrodinger's cat, when you say the word beliefs, I use the word expectation, right? So they're expecting to see a cat, and there's two ways in which that cat can exist, and that's dead or alive. But so they are expecting, and then of course, in my theory, the thought comes in afterwards, and that makes the cat appear, and there actually was no cat before the word cat entered the person's consciousness. Anyway, so please let's not get distracted. There's if physics is describing a world that exists within the narrow parameters of the detecting capabilities of these measuring devices, that's what physics is doing. The measurements, right? So it's ridiculous to assume that there cannot be anything outside that narrow bandwidth of the measuring parameters of these devices, physical devices. There's nothing can. It doesn't make sense when you look at it that way. So I implore you, if you're quote unquote important and could maybe change this wrong notion about physics itself and the material and the physical world that physics is describing, and this ridiculous notion that that's reality and that's the only option, but it is the only option with the thing nothing model and my fundamental model of reality, the triune system, fixes that duality. It's superposition. It's concave and convex and curve. That's what it is. Okay. I guess I'm done. Someone take this app, like, seriously. Like, this is... I can't just keep repeating myself, but I think I've narrowed down the reasons why people are incapable of seeing what I'm showing them, even though it's completely self-evident to me, and the reasoning is completely sound, and they won't even discuss it with me to show me where my reasoning doesn't make sense, right? The silence is deafening, you know what I mean? It's like, it can't be meaningless. Like, even, like, I've developed a fucking, a paradox. A perfect paradox. Oh, look. A perfect paradox that no one's ever thought of before. Like, that's got to be worse. Like, someone's going to go, well, look at all this stuff that I'm claiming and that I'm presenting, and go, well, holy fuck, he might be right. He might actually be the greatest genius ever, and he's thinking in such a different way. He's seeing things for exactly as they are, without any spin on it. Maybe because I don't have much of an ego. Actually, I don't. But yeah, so it would be nice if someone recognized this as truth and then just started living it. Like, this is the way. In the end, this is really for you, just you who's watching this. This is really for you. Like, you have left a message for yourself to help you break out of this delusion that you're in. And everyone's in, and that's why humanity is suffering so badly. So this is for your enlightenment. This is all about you and your enlightenment. So if that sounds like an important thing, then I don't know why I say www. nonconceptuality.org. nonconceptuality.org. And just meditate. Just start meditating and make it your number one priority. That's basically it. It's just the simplest thing, and yet you might find it very, very, very difficult. But it is the direct path to the end of suffering. Peace out.